Thank you for joining us today here on Winging It, Unscripted Conversations with the Hot Springs community, broadcasting from National Park College. The intent of this NPC podcast is to have informal conversations with different community members as a way of understanding their work in our region and highlighting their connection with the college. Welcome, everybody, to Winging It. This is episode 9, and I'm Wade Derden, your host. After several episodes, feedback that I've received about the podcast has encouraged me to focus some attention on what is happening here on campus. So with those comments in mind, today we are visiting with Thia Armstrong, the community manager for NPC Housing. We're still relatively new to housing here at National Park College, and as our second residence hall is nearing completion, it seemed like a good time to talk with Thia as she's central to the success of NPC Housing. So welcome to Winging It, Thia.
Thank you for having me.
Thia, why don't we just begin with how you got involved in the housing industry and how you came to be here at NPC?
Sure. So I have worked several years in the community housing settings, and it's always been a passion of mine to kind of be in the lives of students that are kind of transitioning from childhood to adulthood. And what brought me to NPC is I am an alumni of NPC. So when I found that I could make an impact at my alma mater, it was really a no-brainer for me.
That's good. That's cool. I didn't realize you were involved in community housing. That's a good connection there. For those unfamiliar with our campus, maybe you can describe what our residence halls are like here at NPC.
Sure. So our resident halls here kind of don't have the same feel as some other resident halls. We like to pride ourselves that ours is more suite style housing. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit, just gives more of a home feel. It's kind of apartment style, if you will. There's various amenities and furnishings that allow students to arrive on campus and not have to bring a lot with them. So that's just kind of a good opportunity, I think, for them to show up and be ready just to hit the books and learn and build relationships with their community.
What's an average room like? What comes in the room?
Yeah, so each of our suites, they have a full-size refrigerator, so that leaves students not having to worry about bringing the mini fridge. They come with microwaves, so again, they don't have to worry about bringing those. A couch, a coffee table, bed frame, desk chair. They all come equipped with all that, so pretty much all they have to bring is themselves, their clothes, and anything if they're athletics, some of their gear, things like that.
So, I always try to make the distinction. These are not dorms.
That's right.
These are residencies that people live in. Like, you don't have to go down the hall to the bathroom with a shared shower stall or anything like I remember having to do.
Correct. Each unit, it either has 1 to 2 bathrooms in it. So sometimes they're only sharing with 1 or 2 of their roommates, and it gives it a little bit more of that, like I said, home feel.
Right. What are the size of the rooms? There's some that are singles.
So we have some that will house just 2 students, which they each have their own bedroom. Then there is some rooms that have the 4-bedroom style private suites, which is 4 rooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 share a bathroom on each side, but they each have their own individual bedroom. And then we have some that are what we like to call our triples and our doubles. And that houses a little bit more community style in those bedrooms and is just kind of a different offering for depending on what they're looking for when they come here to NPC.
Okay. Well, I just think it's interesting. I've been in Dogwood Hall several times, but I've only been in the rooms a couple of times during move-in and
You'll
stuff. You'll
have to come over.
I know. Well, I liked it. I enjoyed helping students move in last fall. That was fun.
I know. They liked seeing you there, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if they really like seeing me there, but I hear you.
We did. We did. It was fun.
Well, with Redbud Hall opening this fall, that's our second residence hall. What changes do you expect to see on campus as a result?
I think just continuing to be a 24-hour campus, obviously our community is going to grow bigger. I think that they get that experience of a university at a 2-year, and it kind of just gives them a seamless transition when they move on from National Park College to be able to know what to expect when they go to their 4-year if they live on campus and things like that. So I think just being able to see that, I think being able to have some of the things that we have going on here, like the athletics and things like that, it's a great opportunity for them to get that feel right away.
Right. Well, it's interesting you said that about being a 24-hour campus. We all knew that when we went into the housing business, I guess, but the actual experience of it as an institution has been a learning curve for all of us.
Absolutely. Got to keep them busy.
Just even with tornado warnings and stuff, just preparing for the
where are we going to make
like
sure
that.
Everybody goes? And yeah, definitely.
Since I brought that up, maybe walk us through some of the safety measures that you have there to help students feel secure living on campus and such.
Yeah, so we have a multitude of things in place here for safety measures for our students. We have 24/7 staff in a lot of different capacities. So we have on-campus security, we have professional staff that live on campus, and then we have student staff that as well help provide some things in the resident halls. We have secured entries that require a fob, or it's really cool, you can use your phone to key in now.
Oh, okay.
And things like that to kind of just help keep the building secure. And then obviously, like I said, between the 24-hour staff in all capacities, it gives a big legion to be able to have whatever they need. If they need to know where to go for class, if they're just kind of feeling lonely and homesick, they kind of have that legion there to talk to others. And
how many RAs or resident assistants do you have?
So with Redbud, we are increasing to 8.
Okay.
We have 2 live-on professional staff. And then, like I said, the on-call staff, there's 8 of them. So we're excited to grow our team.
And you don't live on campus anymore, right?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't,
You're
which
probably
keeps
happy
me
about
solid
that.
here,
No, I was an RA in college. I remember that was quite an experience. Let's just leave it at that. We won't go down that road. So if a student was interested in reserving a room in one of these residence halls, what would that process look like for them?
We typically start our new leasing process in January, which sounds really early, but that's really when a lot of our seniors that, students that are coming from high school start to try to make those decisions of where they're going to go. But we kind of start what we call our renewal campaign, and that kind of goes to a little bit of priority housing for the current students living in the res halls. So we usually do about a week to a week and a half of, hey, now's the time. Do you want to stay in your spot? Come tell us. Let's renew now. Let's get you locked into that.
Right.
We then step it out to, again, still within that priority housing, and we will offer, okay, this is what we have open if you want to make a room change. Now, whether that's, I really want to live with this person next year, we had a great time this year and I want to be their roommate next year. Or if they want one of those private suites and, things like that.
Right.
That's their opportunity as returning students to kind of get that first opportunity. And then we open up completely to everybody else, to every other applicant, and we start making phone calls and we do leasing. So it's individualized lease. Some places I know do the whole room is a lease.
Right.
It's individualized so that they have that, responsibility themselves. And
how many residents are in Dogwood and how many will we add?
there is 240 right now. There will be 400 in total after Redbud opens, and that'll kind of transition. So some of the units that we're taking from Dogwood will go over to give us that full 400. So 240 right now. I think that it'll bounce down to about 170 at Dogwood.
That's a lot of 24-hour residents.
That is.
One of the things you mentioned, security, 24 hours and such, but also just things for students to do. That's important, having the gym open and things like that. But, you know, can you talk about the kinds of programs that are organized throughout the year to help sort of foster community in the residence halls?
Yeah. So I think that that's probably one of our strong suits. We have a blast over there, and there's just a lot of community building going on. We do a lot of what we like to call passive programming. Some of that is going to be like your awareness-based events, like healthy relationships, study tips, things like that. And then we do a lot of fun events to really build the community. We play Bago outside. We do small-scale tailgates before games. We'll do like finals prep nights where the resident assistants, they kind of host like a study night with snacks and things like that. Then we do Halloween door decor contest. And anything that just really engages the residents, you know, I mean, we try to stay hip with the times.
Hip with the times. Nice. You know, you mentioned studying. I mean, it's not just rooms. There's actually a study area.
Yeah. We have 2 in Dogwood. There will be 1 study room in Redbud. And I mean, they use them. Especially some of our, you know, like our nursing program, I see a lot of those students in there and they've got things drawn up on the boards and they're in there sometimes till just late into the evening studying and getting ready for some of their stuff that they have going on. So
yeah, well, that's cool. And there's also a kitchen that they can use. That's sort of a shared space, right?
Yep. We call it the community kitchen. Dogwood Hall has 1 on the 2nd floor. Redbud will have 2, 1 on the 2nd floor, 1 on the 3rd floor. And they are welcome to come down there and, you know, make breakfast.
Yeah.
We get some dessert making. I've even been fed cupcakes. They're actually really good. And then we have some that maybe are just learning how to cook. And it's college, right? We're all learning how to do something.
Yeah, tell a story on myself, but I remember in my residence hall, and a buddy of mine got the idea that we would make omelets for anybody. We'd do to-go omelets, and we bought tons of eggs, and we took over the kitchen, and we made probably 40 omelets. People would come down and say, hey, can I get one with?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why we did that. But
those food events will bring all the residents, all the students.
Well, that's really funny. What kind of community can students expect when they live there in the residence halls?
You know, I don't know how else to explain it, Wade, other than family. Mm-hmm. I have been really lucky to see some of the memories and bonds that these students, and I get to see it in not a classroom setting or not an athletic setting, but in a family setting. And my favorite thing to tell people is I personally got to view some of the snow days when they don't have classes have been canceled. Well, what do? They become a family. They go to those kitchens and they cook together and they sit down and they eat together and they're in the study room still doing their homework and, hanging out in the game lounge, watching movies. And, it's just really cool to be able to see. Like I said, I just don't know how else to explain it other than family. And that's what I really get to see over there that really makes me passionate about it.
That's good. Is there a story that you could share about a student maybe who really thrived because of their experience?
Yeah, yep. So I've kind of got a great story because when I first came to housing at NPC, one of my resident assistants, Thia Lindsay, she was one of our RAs, and she was also in a lot of different capacities here on campus, from student government to the cheer team to just different areas like that. And her being able to kind of bring that in to our community was nice, but I also got to watch her really flourish in a lot of areas outside of school. And it was so much so that when she graduated, we offered her a full-time position, and she is still with us and gets to be part of the alumni staff here at NPC and carry that on to some of the other RAs.
Well, that's great. That's good. Well, I guess, should there be a prospective student out there who's listening who may have some questions still about residency here at NPC, what steps should they take to get more information?
On our website, np.edu/reslife, you go there and you'll put apply for housing. And once you click that, it just takes you step by step. Once your application is complete, it's usually who I spoke of earlier, Thia. She usually reaches out to those applicants and we just start talking about what that process looks like and signing a lease and what move-in day and what to bring and what not to bring and things like that.
Well, I think we're prepping for move-in day already, and we're starting to think a lot about what we can do to welcome students on campus.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited this year. We've got a lot of really fun things in the works that we're trying to plan. So
yeah.
I'm
excited to see Redbud open.
Me too.
It'll be a lot of fun. The halls are named Dogwood and Redbud because we have a lot of those on the campus already. And if you haven't been to NPC, it's a very wooded campus still, and so
very beautiful campus.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of those two trees are part of the natural environment out here, so it seemed fitting to name the halls that way.
Always growing, always blooming.
Oh, there you go. I haven't heard that.
You like that?
I like that, Tia. Very nice.
Told you I was going to be famous after this.
Well, on that note, then, thank you for being here today, Tia. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you taking time to speak with us on this episode of Winging It, and thank you to our listeners for joining us. Remember, new episodes are released monthly, and until next time, there's a place here for you at National Park College.